I can start over anyway.
The PTA meeting, sorry, we missed part of it. We're now at the treasurer's report. We've already approved the minutes for the last meeting. Go ahead, Amy.
Okay. So we've finally got, well, the checks went out for kindergarten, first and second grade grant requests, as well as music. We're still waiting for check requests for fourth grade and Eco Club. Fourth grade is getting a bunch of books, and Eco Club has a current program for the kids. So those are the two big outstanding checks. We also have one for insurance. Amazon Smile was really lucrative, I guess you could say, for the month of November. We got $70. And our entire budget for the year is the expectation was that we would make 100. So we're actually between September, October, November, we've actually are over our $100 expected income for that. So that was great. One thing that I did want to ask for, I know that we approved in a meeting. Anyway, the general membership did approve our grant request, or the total grant request, but I think I need a vote to increase the line item number for the fall teacher grants.
Okay, well, let's be on the safe side. If we're not sure, let's go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Does someone have to make a motion to do that? Because can I move to do that? I move to increase the line item for the teachers' fall grants to $2,823.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it. Can I do that as treasurer?
Second it as well.
Okay. Is there anyone who is against this motion? Everyone who's in favor say aye.
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 All right, the ayes have it. That approves. So we will
you have to call for the nays though.
The next report. All right, was there? Go ahead, Amy.
Oh no, I was just showing this off in case anybody wants to see anything. Yeah, that's all I have for right now. We just don't have a lot coming and going. So yeah.
All right, sounds good. So then we'll go on to our officer reports, and I will start as the president. I would like to welcome our new vice presidents of fundraising and membership, the Del Boys. Jen will be in charge of membership, and Dan will be in charge of fun and fundraising. It's kind of a joint venture, but we're all in this together, so you're not alone, either of you. They're bringing great energy and great ideas, and we're so lucky to have them. So do you guys want to say hi?
We got them both. Well done. Well done.
Hi,
take credit for that.
Sales family. We are very humbled and happy to actually help and be able to serve and connect with all of you.
Just looking forward to working with everybody and doing our part.
All right, great. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it. All right, Ken, do you have anything to report?
Okay, sorry, I was on a different screen, had to find my mute button. Yes, there's a small little update here, and that is that we now officially have a YouTube channel. And it's very basic for now, but just to walk through, I'll put in the chats, I'll put the link. But we're gonna put, eventually have like a little welcome video over here. But for now, we've got it sorted out by playlists. So we have the PTA membership meetings will always be at the top. And currently we have one meeting that's been recorded and is uploaded there. We'll have a couple of updates here from the school and videos that are posted as needed. Leslie, a couple of the videos that you sent me from like the back to school are actually flagged for kids, so it's not letting me share them to this playlist, which is why there's only one video from back to school that's there. We'll have a couple of FCS important updates that I'll post periodically, and Jen Delboy has also agreed to help out with this. As we get going, we'll have a couple more educational resources that we can drop in here just for placeholders now. I put a couple of ST Math videos that are from the official publisher of that program. And FCPS also has a lot of different archive videos that are 5 years old, 3 years old that you see here that are pertaining to the school. So anytime I found one of those videos, I was able to add it to our playlist here. So it's very meager, humble beginnings, but we're looking to grow that as we move on with due time. Again, I'll drop that in the chat. So make sure that you do subscribe to our channel and click the bell for notifications so you can get updates on future content.
All right, great. Thank you so much. And that looks wonderful. It looks like our webpage.
Do you guys want the other videos that I had sent? They were the specialists introducing themselves, band and strings, doing an introduction. That's what the videos were.
Yeah,
Do you want me-
I definitely would love to. They're all flagged though for kids, and so when a video on YouTube is flagged for kids, it will not let you share it to a public playlist. So the specialist one I could not, and then all the school board welcome messages were all flagged for kids.
Oh, okay.
All right. Mandy, do you have anything?
No, we're working on giving the website a facelift, but that probably won't take effect until after the first of the year, but you can be on the lookout for that hopefully in January.
All right, great. Thank you. Amy, do you have anything?
Nope, nothing other than that little report.
Okay, and I don't want to put the Del Boys on the spot. We've all seen in email the great ideas they have, but I'm not sure we're ready to share them unless you guys want to. Do you guys want to talk to general membership here? Besides,
Am I the only one?
No, we have a few details to iron out, but we'll be sharing much more of them soon.
okay, great. Thank you. All right, so I think Chad, do you have you want to take over? I know you have a few people from the school here.
Takeover. Oh my gosh, just trying to go back through emails and finding out how to find my passwords to get into this meeting was
Oh,
banging my head against the wall. Sure, there is a lot coming on, so please stay tuned really for all these different changes for the county. And I did see that a couple emails were sent late this afternoon. So there should be more information coming out in the next day or so to parents, and that numbers, bless you, whoever sneezed. The numbers continue to, really complicate getting any of our groups back in the building. And we're ready. We are truly ready for all of our groups to come back. We can't wait to have kids in the building. It's honestly, when there's kids in the building, Leslie and I disappear for great lengths of time out of the office because we are literally down wherever the kids are. That's where we tend to be finding ourselves. So we do, as information comes to us, especially over the next few weeks. I know we've been typically sending out community newsletters on Thursday, but if need be, just from a timing perspective, to give as much, kind of forewarning as we can for changes that are going on, we may end up sending out, multiple newsletters during the week over the next couple weeks, just because if they are bringing people back or delaying timetables or whatever, I want our parents to have as much forewarning to that. So they have time to plan and, make sure that they're covered. Because I know that is hard sometimes to, last minute changes, you start to, think you know what's happening. And then all of a sudden you're scrambling either for daycare or just for your own job to work from home or scheduling, moving a schedule around. So we are committed to giving our community and our parents as much forewarning as we can to any of those changes. We've gotten a few questions from parents that want to maybe give their teachers a holiday gift or New Year gift, whatever, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, but a nice token. So what we're going to do, Leslie and I actually have something for the teachers that we're going, I guess the teachers that are in here are finding out now, that we're going to ask them if they want to, after our sing-along on the 18th, they can swing by the school and get it. So if parents want to drop off, starting on Monday, we're going to have a cart outside door 1 that'll be labeled teacher gifts or whatever. As long as everything is labeled, who the teacher, who your child is, who the teacher is, we'll make sure that they get that prior to the break. Friday, when the teachers come, we'll put it all in a nice bag for them and have that all that stuff ready for the teachers to pick up before their break.
Chad, can you repeat? I've had that question multiple times. When the parents can drop the gifts off, so I can put that on the
Yep,
Facebook page?
starting on Monday. It'll be Monday to Thursday next week, so the 14th to the 17th. And as long as they drop it off, we're going to check multiple times throughout the day. But as long as it's before 4 o'clock, we'll bring it into the office, make sure it's locked up and safe, and put in the appropriate bag for a teacher. So all of next week, Monday to Thursday, from we pretty much are in the office by 7:30, and we've kind of been averaging about 4 o'clock, 4:10, but when we leave, there'll be a cart that's labeled right outside the door. You can just walk up, put it on there, and we'll check it multiple times a day.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
So that'll be next week. Leslie, I feel like there was one other thing we were going to mention today. We have a lot of testing that I feel really bad for Leslie, because we're in this crazy pandemic virtual world, and she's having to schedule for some of our required state testing, individual meetings or small group meetings to work through testing over the next couple weeks, and then when we come back in January and February, it's not very user friendly for the parameters that we've been given, but we have to do it. So we have elicited a number of helpers on our staff, and we're just going to slug through it. So if parents do get calls to schedule some of these, we're willing to work through scheduling issues, but we have to get kids up into the building to actually do some of these tests. So people may be getting phone calls or emails from Ms. Malkowski about scheduling some of those things. We are trying, I really do hope that, with the vaccines right around the corner and numbers do drop, that by February we have at least all the kids that have said they're going to come back for in-person learning. We kind of have everybody back in, and then we're going to try to do we'll try to do some kind of celebration of some kind in the spring for sure. We do have on Friday the 18th, we're going to do, if you haven't already received it, your children will be receiving an invitation to the sing-along that we always do on the Friday before the winter holiday break. And we're welcoming everybody to join in and log on as a family. And, we sing a number of different holiday songs from all of our different religions. And we really try to, just encompass the joy of this time of year for all of our kids. And we've added a few special things this year that should be pretty fun. Some of our 4th and 5th graders are helping us with that. I'll let that be a surprise. But we've been even working on it virtually. And so we're pretty excited that we're going to sort of bring that, keep that tradition going. And it's something the kids always look forward to. We hope they wear their pajamas on Friday the 18th. And at 1 o'clock, we're going to start, and we'll be done by 2 o'clock. And we're going to call it we're going to call it a week at 2:00, and everybody can begin their, their holidays together. So, but we're going to end kind of how we always do as a school, and just celebrate this time of year for all of our kids. And I know the teachers have been working really hard to, the topic tonight with Ms. Maroka, Ms. Brogan, and Ms. Reno, and Ms. Fabian, is that social emotional piece. And we've said we want our kids to feel over the next, what we have left for 2 weeks, to really try to let them feel the joy of this time of year with each other, giving them time to connect and just, find different ways to talk to the kid. So the kids can talk to each other about kid stuff, because we're really finding that they're missing that. And we do know when they do come back to us, that's going to have to be a big part of what we do, is just getting them to learn how to be social again, and how to, there's going to be a piece where they're going to reconnect with their really good friends right away. But then there's this piece of, well, I don't really know this person or this person, but really they've been in a class with them for a half a year, or a little bit more than half a year by the time we somewhat come back together. And, kids, especially our youngest kids, learning how to be a friend and learning what it is to give and take in a conversation, and just how to start a conversation and work in a group. It's going to be kind of new again, especially for our primary kids. So we certainly recognize that. And we're going to be spending a lot of time the rest of this year, I think, just on making sure our kids are socially and emotionally adjusted and ready to learn, so that, when we do have, reading or math, that they're ready and they feel good and safe in the environment they're in. And then when they do start to transition back into school, that, they're used to talking to their friends, and they're used to having conversations. And even as adults, I think in some respects we forgot how to communicate through all this a little bit. It's so we want to make sure our kids don't. So that is a perfect segue to Ms. Maroka.
Don't forget to introduce our new counselor.
Yes, I have Ms. Maroka, and our newest counselor, Rian. There she is. And obviously her husband, when he shows up, he's dashing military man there, but he pops up, Mr. Brogan, and there he is. And but we were through some, I'm not sure where the funds came from, but the county, we had kind of a little, it was a very different way to hire, but they hired, I think it was 18 additional counselors into the county. And we were very fortunate enough we split Rian with Columbia Elementary. I'm very good friends with the principal over there, so it works out great. And so I'm ecstatic to have her on the staff. I hope the funding stays and she can stay with us for a while, because I think she's developing a great partnership with Ms. Maroka, and I think she's a really good fit for, what we're doing and trying to do with our kids. So I do. Rian, you can come back and just kind of introduce yourself and say hi, and then we'll go into the rest of it.
Well, thank you so much. I'd like to say good evening to everyone. It has actually been one of the greatest moments for me to be able to step on board in a time like this. And we often wonder how we can give back to our community. I am so passionate about children and always have been. And so when this opportunity came up, I know we talk about people that are on the front line and how they are doing all they can to keep everyone safe. And so for me, I am forever grateful for this opportunity, because I feel like this is an opportunity for me to step up and serve our children in our community in a way that most people probably do not recognize. And so I don't take it lightly. And I'm so excited about this opportunity, not only serving our children, but also our teachers and staff. And so it's all about community. So thank you so much.
Welcome. We're glad to have you on board.
So,
Me to go?
huh?
You want me to go?
Oh, sure.
And
Go
yes,
ahead.
all right. Well, hey, everybody, it's so good to see you all. And we're so excited to have Rion join us, because what that means is that we're actually able to see your children more. So we're able to do more direct classroom guidance now. We're able to pull more groups. We're able to see more kids individually. So we're thrilled to be able to do that. And honestly, I do think the funding will probably stay, for the next several years. Hopefully, we'll keep our fingers crossed. There was a time we had a part-time, we lost that part-time a few years back, about 5 years ago. So, and it's been in the works, so hopefully we're gonna hope that sticks, because it is very beneficial for all the children in our school to have that extra support. So I'm very thankful that she's there. Has helped me out tremendously. And we hoped, before I get started also, we were hoping to bring people to your PTA meeting. So I don't know if that tells me that people aren't as stressed as I thought, or either they're so tired of the computer at this point, which is probably the second case, because quite honestly, my kids are older. So I can't even imagine like having young children at home and having, some of the things that you're having to do with work, and sit there and put, make sure that your kid is where they need to be on time, and then helping them out. So we recognize that and understand how stressful it must be for parents. And, I did want to say, we're here to help you. I mean, we don't know all the answers, but we will certainly find that for you, or we will send you in the right direction to get that support that you need. So we're just going to go over a few things tonight. I'm going to start with just some things to look out for. Anxiety during this time is very normal. Anxiety is a normal feeling anyway that everybody gets. But I think as a parent, what we worry about is, when does that become more than the norm? So what you're going to watch for, and especially during this time, or this would go for any time when you're kind of wondering, is my child really struggling with anxiety? So you're going to watch for changes in the behavior. That's the big code word. Like, has something changed recently? So are they crying more? Are they more irritable than they were, before? Everybody, and once again, like, we're all in the house, so we're all probably a little bit more irritable at times, myself included. But are they just, has that changed? Have they returned to behaviors that they've outgrown, like bedwetting, having accidents, things like that? That would be kind of a red flag that goes off. Excessive worrying or crying. We teach guidance lessons, and children they're young. They should be happy most of the time. So if you notice that they're withdrawn or quiet, or they really feel, sad, then those are things to kind of put up that red flag to reach out and get some help. Unhealthy eating or sleeping habits, meaning that your child is either overeating or they're not eating at all. Once again, give or take a little. I think we've all kind of gone through that with COVID, that we might have overeaten some during this time, and now I'm having to do the opposite, trying to undereat to balance that out. And then your sleeping habits, just making sure that those haven't changed. Meaning that they really have a hard time sleeping at night, or they're sleeping too much. But once again, that's if you're kind of sticking to a schedule, and I'll talk about that in the next slide. The unexplained headaches, that's a sign of stress, as we all know. And so just if they continue to have headaches, might mean that their anxiety level is a little bit more than you think. So I'm going to go over a few things you could do to support your child, and then Rion is going to kind of delve into this a little bit more in detail. So first and foremost, it's just very important to be a role model. I mean, kids, they watch what you're doing. So how you're handling anxiety, how you're handling this whole pandemic, being that role model for them, taking breaks sometimes, getting plenty of sleep, exercising and eating well, staying in touch with friends, family members, and trying to keep everything as normal as possible. Spend time with your child in meaningful activities, like reading together, having family night, exercising, doing crafts, cooking, picking up a new hobby, anything like that is a great bonding time during this time. I can't stress this enough, trying to keep that regular routine. And as a parent myself, that is very difficult, to do with kids. But I have noticed being online with the kids, I'm beginning to notice more because we're getting so comfortable with each other again. And we stress this at the beginning of the year, but have your children get up and get dressed for school, just like they would when they go into the building. Number one, it helps build that confidence. They will feel better. And it just establishes that regular sense of normalcy that I wake up in the morning and I get dressed to go to school. I've noticed like more kids lately lying in their bed or with their PJs on. I know sometimes we have to fight, certain battles at home, but that is an important thing to do, is try to keep that regular routine for them. Same bedtime, same wake up time, those sorts of things. Reassuring your child that they're safe. And then this is really important, trying to limit that exposure to news coverage, because what we watch on the news right now just can frighten kids. I mean, they don't understand, and they don't even understand what's going on. But when they hear things, it can send, just a message that would frighten them and make them think something totally different. So if they have questions, sometimes as parents, we tend to shelter our children, and you're their parent and what you can share with them, what you don't need to share with them, them best. But make sure that you're talking openly with them and answering and asking questions. We try to do this, and teachers are doing a great job of this in the classroom, allowing kids to interact. I'm doing lunch bunches. Rion and I started that, where they can just talk and chat. So we're trying to look out for some of these things too, if anything comes up that we feel like children need a little bit of extra support. So I'm going to send it over to Rion, and she's going to go through some other ways to support your child.
Thank you so much. So what I wanted to do was briefly kind of touch on social and emotional learning. We know it's the process by which children and adults learn and understand, manage emotions, set goals, show empathy for others, establish positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. And what I love about that is that the same thing that our children are learning, we can be learning that too. And social and emotional learning has 5 competencies that are there on the screen. And these competencies can be taught, they can be modeled and practiced, and they can actually lead to positive student outcomes that are important for success in school and ultimately in life. And so we have the 5 competencies here: self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. So for the sake of time tonight, I would like to specifically kind of focus on the first 2, self-awareness and self-management. So we know that self-awareness is our capacity to be able to recognize our own individual feelings and emotions, as well as the ability to express them accurately and productively. So for example, if we have strong self-awareness, we will easily be able to differentiate how we feel when we're stressed versus when we're angry. And the reason why that is so important is that we kind of need to almost mirror our emotions and kind of stop and pause and say to ourselves, okay, what am I feeling right now? And kind of zero in on those emotions. And that's some of the things that we're working on with students too. Most of the times they can name the basic emotions: happy, sad, glad, mad, but we know that there are many, many emotions. And so being able to be self-aware starts to kind of tap into students becoming more socially and emotionally tied into their learning as well. Next, we're looking at self-management. And now our self-management is basically our capacity to successfully manage and regulate our own emotions, particularly difficult ones. So for example, when we are stressed, do we have or do we use a particular set of management strategies or coping techniques? And do these strategies and coping techniques help calm us down so that we can continue on with our day? Or do we allow stresses to derail us? And here's what we need to always remember about that. 9 times out of 10, as parents, when we're derailed, someone's going down with us. And so we want to make sure that if we back up and we kind of tune ourselves into our emotions, always remember, next slide, please. Thank you. Remember that the behavior that we usually model, whether we recognize it or not, our children are looking and they are definitely listening. And we all go through a number of emotions in a day. And so being able to empathize with our children when we see that they're going through something is very important. And we can model that empathy by emotionally connecting with them. They may tell us about their day or they may not say anything at all. So we want to make sure that we try to somewhat put ourselves in their shoes and kind of imagine what it must be like for them and try to empathize with them on that level. And you want to always make sure that you're taking care of yourself. One of the things that you have often heard people say is you can't pour from an empty cup and you can't give what you don't have. So we want to make sure that as parents, we're doing everything that we can to keep ourselves rejuvenated. We're keeping ourselves up to par. It's amazing how you see so many people will sit next to a plug simply because they want to keep their cell phones on 100%. But when it comes to our energy level and what it is that we can give not only to ourselves, but our families and our children, sometimes we tend to let ourselves run low. So we want to make sure that we are keeping ourselves charged. And so once we're able to regulate our emotions and we're able to kind of tune in to what is triggering these emotions and become more self-aware, not only can it be beneficial to us, but it can also be beneficial to our children. And one of the last things I wanted to share with you is Jen kind of touched on this, establishing routines and predictability. There are things that you can do to set the tone or to set the atmosphere. For example, you might decide on your own that you want to take a car ride on Friday. And you can plan that, we haven't been out of the home as a family, but we'll ride around and look at the lights. And you can say to yourself, you can purpose in your heart that when I'm in the car, I will try to find one positive thing to say to each person in the car. And that way you are starting to establish an atmosphere, and students and your children will be able to pick up on that and feel that. And so the conversations with the car rides and being able to tap into the empathy, these are all things that can help us to be better parents and to also help us to help our students not only be better students, but also be better sons and daughters. So at this time, I would like to turn it over to the next person on our list, the agenda for this evening.
Hi, I'm Katerina Fabian. I'm the school
Katerina.
psychologist. I will be talking about things that we can do for, or that you can do for yourselves. Like we've been talking about, it's really difficult to care for others when we're struggling ourselves. And this isn't just, someone just said in the chat, this isn't just a scary time for kids. It's also a scary time for adults. And so you want to make sure that you are getting your needs met, and that if there's things going on with you, we want to give you some resources. Tracy will also be giving some more things that you can do at home as well. But I wanted to share some mental health supports that are in the community. These are resources that are provided through the state. We also have some that Fairfax County is providing, but I just wanted you to be aware that Virginia does have what's called a warm line that you can call. And this is for anyone in Virginia that just wants to call and talk to a counselor about anything that's bothering them. It's open, Monday through Friday, and then also on the weekends. They have Spanish counselors available. There's also a second resource that is more specifically for essential workers. So a lot of you out there, if you're a teacher, or, you work in the medical profession, or you work in a grocery store, work for the postal service, any essential worker could call. And, they would help you with any signs of stress, anxiety, depression, or grief. We're kind of all feeling different emotions on different days. And, you know, sometimes it can be really overwhelming, you know, if you are looking for a counselor for yourself or your kid, you know, to be able to, you know, do all that research. So these are both free resources that you can call at any time and access a counselor. We also have some really great resources in the county already. You know, the Parent Center, if you haven't already checked it out, you should go ahead and do that. I have the link there for the Parent Resource Center. I'm just sharing a few of the things that they have available here. You know, they have some great webinars that are there. They also have tons of past webinars that are recorded that you can access on the website as well. But some of the upcoming ones are on December 9th, which is tomorrow. They have coping strategies for anxious kids. December 11th, they have all behavior happens for a reason, behavior as communication. I know we've been sending out some of those topics in the newsletter. And if you want to register for that webinar, you can go to that link there. And, you know, you can access all of the webinars and sign up for whichever ones you find interesting. You can also call to get a free consultation. You know, all four of us are also available at any time to talk with you if you have any concerns. We're going to have our emails on the last slide, so feel free to reach out to us. But the Parent Resource Center also does confidential consultations, but you can call that number and speak with someone there, and they can give you any help or guidance that you need. They also have lots of other resources, one of which I know sometimes parents ask about is how do I get the tutor list? You can email them there at prc@fcps.edu, and they'll email you back a list of all the tutors that do work in the county. They also have a lot of other great resources, like if you need resources for respite care or adopted summer camps for kids as we get closer to summer. So they can be a great resource for things that, you know, you might not have thought of. So you can always reach out to them or reach out to any of us at any time, as I said. And Ms. Reno has some more ideas of things to do at home, both for student self-care and parents.
Okay, it's not letting me start my video. So you might not be able to see me.
We can hear you though.
Okay, great. Oh wait, now I'll start my video. It just popped up. Okay. So I don't think it's still started, but that's okay. I went on to a lot of these websites today just to check them out. I had found them on another thing before, but it was a lot of fun things for the kids. Some of you may already know about these and be using them. But one of them was Go Noodle. Actually, I'll jump to the first one. The first one was yoga, and it's Cosmo Kids. And I do have the links here. We can make these slides available so that you can just click on these links. I know these are Google slides, so we can't do that here, but we can put it in a different format so that it would be accessible that way. And this is a lot of fun yoga activities for kids. The one that I have linked here is one that they're under the sea and they're looking for the seahorse, and it's a lot of, you know, yoga movements and stuff like that. And then of course we have the Go Noodle, and there's a lot of activities there, like rainbow breaths and bring it down. It's about a balloon when the balloon's way up in the air and you bring it down, and it's all about releasing anxiety and things like that. Fabio Meatball Run is kind of a fun activity too. And then also FCPS has a whole mindfulness routine, and it has a lot of links on that website that are pretty amazing. It has a lot of different things for you to do at home to incorporate mindfulness. And I mean, Miss Maroka and I've talked about this too. It's like when we start our day in a mindful mode and just, you know, kind of in the right mindset, it really does help shape your day. So that's a reminder to us parents as well, is to start our day in a very mindful, kind of peaceful routine if as much as you can. I know this is all just such a hard time for everybody. There's also a lot of stuff for those younger kids at the Sesame Street website. And all the links are there. I'm not going to spend much more time on that. So now we'll go to the adult self-care. There are a lot of services in Fairfax County. Like, I actually went to undergrad in Alabama, and I have to say we are very fortunate in Fairfax County to have so many resources. The coordinated services plan, I have to say, is probably the #1 number to go to first. That can help with all basic needs, rental assistance, applying for insurance, legal advice, there's domestic violence, immigration, just a every need, they will connect you to the county resource in that simple number 222-0880. And then we also have the Community Resource Services Board, which deals with intellectual disabilities, substance abuse, and mental health. And then we have the Department of Family Services Parent Education Program. They have a lot of good education programs. Of course, they're all virtual right now, and they're usually 12 to 14 weeks. And they have them on different days and nights. They have them in Spanish. They have them in a few different languages. And so those are, you know, a lot of times I hear parents say they don't have time to go to those parenting classes. So now that it's virtual, I'm hoping that, you know, that is able to be increased in the attendance and participation. We also have the Fairfax County Public Schools Crisis Intervention Services, and that's a mental health support. Because I know a lot of you too have older kids, and it might be different with the teenagers and kind of the crisis that they might be going through. And then there's the Fairfax County Human Services Resource Guide, and that has a lot of nonprofits, and it'll divide things up into you know, do you need help with food, clothing, rental assistance? And there's a button on the page for each one of those things. And then it takes you to the different agencies that help with that. Formed families is for those families that have adopted or are fostering. So there's resources for that as well. And kinship, if you're one of those relatives that are taking care of family members as well. And then NAMI, of course, or not of course, but NAMI is the National Alliance for the Mentally Ill. I still can't believe they call it that, but it offers free support and education as well to the families and individuals. And then just really quickly, a few more. Northern Virginia Regional Commission Quick Guide that also gives you a lot of the profit and nonprofit agencies that are in the area that will help. And as you can see, the rest of them there. ARC of Northern Virginia is those kids that have intellectual disabilities. And GMU, George Mason, also offers psychological services. And some of the places are even doing virtual counseling now for free. I do know that they have some services there. There is an agency, and I should have put it on there, called ThriveWorks, and they actually are doing virtual counseling for free. But even if you call your insurance agency or company and you want, you know, maybe you think your kid needs some counseling, a lot of the places are waiving that fee, and they're doing it for free right now, virtually. So those are just, you know, that's a lot, but those are some of the resources that I refer a lot of families to and, you know, find very useful in the work that we do. So I guess, you know, I'd like to know kind of like, does that address some of the concerns you guys have, or are there other issues that you would like us to kind of focus on? And you don't have to answer that right now. That's just a bug I want to put in your ear, is we want to make sure that we're really hearing what your needs are as parents and how we can be of assistance in that. Oh, I think now my camera came on, maybe.
And if anyone has any questions right now too. Oh yeah, there you are, Tracy. You know, jump in now and ask questions, or you have our emails there and you can always email us as well.
Can you send me a copy of the slides that have the resources on it so I can put it on the Facebook page and send it out to the parents who are here at the meeting?
Yes, definitely. We can, I think we can transfer it to like a PowerPoint presentation and then send it that way probably.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah, and I could share the presentation on my, I have a Google Classroom page as well that parents don't always know that we have those supports out there too, but on your child's teacher's Google Classroom page, there's a link to my classroom. And so I can share this slideshow on there, which, you know, may give some information for other parents, and it would give those resources as well.
We do have a question in the chats from Christy Valbuena, but Christy also did put a link on there earlier about different parent teacher ideas for classroom gifts for them. So be sure to check that out in the chats and we'll repost that. But Christy's question was, I would love to hear about how to decide what is typical puberty behavior and what is abnormal or concerning behavior.
Do you guys want me to answer that? You're good with it? Okay. Like I said, I don't always know the answers. This is my opinion, Ken. So y'all and Christy. So, but once again, I think the normal, you're going to have those mood swings. You're going to have that normal moodiness, and they do really change. The behavior, the mentality changes. Luckily, we as women were all there at one time too, so you kind of know that and kind of can understand that. I think what you're really looking for with a child always is just the excessiveness of it. And then if it seems to be a problem, Christy, then, or anybody, if it seems to be a problem and it seems to be more, they seem to be stressed out about, reach out to us. Sometimes a child just likes that added support. They like that the parent had them talk to somebody. The kids actually love to see the counselors at school. Some of you parents, y'all know that. So we would be happy to talk to them and just see kind of how are they feeling, do a check-in, just to make sure that it's not something that would be very concerning. Usually not, but sometimes it is.
Right.
And will usually tell us. Does anybody want to piggyback on what I said?
Yeah. So, I was, the goal right now for us as parents, you as parents, my kids are often out now, but is for them to keep talking to you.
Yeah.
And I think with the amount of TV and internet access that they have, our kids are being exposed to things that their little brains can't handle. And in all honesty, it's, I think there needs to be very concentrated effort on what our kids are seeing and what they're being exposed to. And, because what happens is because they see those things, then they start questioning and wondering, and, one thing leads to the next. So I think as far as the puberty issue is concerned, it can be very normal for what they've been exposed to, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But that doesn't mean that it's okay for your family and you and your family. So, but the point is to get them to talk to you about it. When you watch movies and stuff comes up, even about, sexuality or things like that, use that as a jumping off point to discuss that with them and to let them know that they can talk to you about anything. And it's okay to have guilt maybe about some things, but we don't want to shame them into feeling any certain way. So the number one goal at this point is just to keep them open talking. If you don't feel like they can talk to you, then like Ms. Maroka said, we have all taken kids aside and talked to them about some issues that, have been pretty personal that they are struggling with the, approval of the parent. So know that too. But the number one goal right now is just for the kids for them to try to get them to keep talking to you about their questions and things like that.
Yeah, that open line of communication, I think, is just huge. And then if you feel like as a parent, because sometimes the children will get a certain age and they really don't want to share everything with their parent because they know that you view them in such a, like a different light. And so they may have some questions, or they may have some things that they've heard or they worry about that it's just easier for them to talk to somebody else. And so as a parent, just always letting them know that, well, is that something you would like to, talk to Ms. Brogan about, or is that something you like to talk to Ms. Maroka about? And not to take it personally as a parent because they're not choosing to share with you, but sometimes just kids choose to share with somebody else because they don't necessarily want you to fix the problem. I think as a parent, sometimes we feel like we need to fix everything. And a lot of times children just want to talk or they want to vent. And that's their reasoning for not sharing with parents sometimes, is simply because they don't want you to fix it. And they don't necessarily want it to become a bigger deal than it was. They really just wanted to get it off their chest and then move on, And so kind of keeping that in mind sometimes too, when you are talking to your children. Anybody else? Recommendations for the younger kids, like kindergarten, to interact with other kids. The ones that are virtual. So I'm reading something in the chat right now. It said that they'd like to hear recommendations for the younger kids, like kindergarten, to interact with other kids when they're going to be remaining virtual. So we actually, Chad, Leslie, do you want me to answer this? Okay, so we're working on that as a school right now too, to try to come up with some different clubs that just some fun things, because, and I've talked to a lot of the kids and they, you know, like to have like where they're playing Legos, or they're doing like they have an interest club that they're joining, and where they are able just to connect and interact with the other kids in a different way other than it just being academic. Because they want to socialize. I mean, they want to talk to the kids. They want, you know, and so, and we try to do that in the classroom, but what our schedule's pretty tight as a teacher of, you know, what you got to get in during that time. And we definitely want those to get those academics in, but we, you know, we want them interacting as well. So we're in our team leaders meeting this morning. We talked about that. We're going to talk about that again next week. And we are going to have some things for them to do and come up with ideas. And you guys, if you have any ideas, I mean, we're kind of all in this together, you know, so you guys, if you can think of something, or you talk to your kids and they have some great ideas, or you have friends at other schools, you know, we try to connect with other schools to find out what they're doing too. Please share those with us, because we're always open for, you know, any new suggestions.
Yeah, and one of the things we, right before the numbers started to increase, we had just been given the okay where PTAs and whatnot could organize, you know, get-togethers and whatnot, up to 25 people outside of the buildings. And then it got shut down really fast when the numbers started going up again. So I think it would be great as grade levels, and maybe, you know, we do schedule some of those things once we're allowed to, you know, use the playground again and start to regroup even outside when we do have some of the kids back in school, but we can organize some play dates or whatnot for, so that our kids that are virtual can come up to the school and do the play date also. Or, you know, out in the field, or, you know, we can kind of organize it by grade level to a specific day and activity or something to that extent. But once we are back to where we can start looking at groups doing stuff together, even outside, we can then start looking again at, you know, finding ways to, you know, bring our kids together in very non-traditional ways, but that the kids would probably love. So hopefully, again, you know, by the time we get everybody onto some kind of certainty for a schedule for the remainder of the year, we can really start to plan some of these activities and find ways to, you know, safely bring the kids back together.
And you guys could do this too, you know, I mean, it's hard because no one wants to be on the computer, but the kids do like to talk. And I know as adults, we've all done this during the COVID time. You set up the Zoom meetings with your friends. So after school hours, it's a great idea too, you know, when you're trying to get your kids to interact with other kids, to have a play date night, or, you know, like something, and they can do it virtually, the kindergartners, and they can bring their favorite toys or whatever they want to share. So that's another way just for them to be talking and communicating and seeing, because I feel like I'm kind of with you guys tonight, you know, even though we're not physically in the building. It's better than nothing, you know, I guess. So, but setting up a Zoom might be something you could do too. Yeah. Yeah, they do love to talk.
Say one question for me is, you know, just that with my kids in particular, they're having to do a lot of basically occupying their own time, because, you know, when school gets out for them, my wife and I are both in different virtual meetings, and so they obviously want to come play with us, and we kind of can't pull ourselves away, so then they occupy their time doing whatever it is that they do. So my oldest daughter playing on the phone, the younger one has been getting into a lot of YouTube videos, but some of the YouTube videos that she's watching are helping her to draw better, which is good. But my wife and I are definitely a little concerned that she's on YouTube a little too much. Any suggestions on how to kind of self-regulate them when mom and dad can't necessarily be there for work obligations?
Well, and on the phones, there's settings on their phone where you could have the phone turn off. So if they're going, on YouTube or on something too much, if they have a phone, now that's not like a tablet, maybe something different, but
FCPS computer.
Oh, okay. So, now I have seen, which I think, because I'm in all the classes, so I see a lot of things going on in homes. Now, which is kind of interesting. It's great. We have some wonderful parents out there. But during that lunch break, I've seen several kids that they have to take a walk. They have to go outside and physically take a walk, or they have to do something active during that time too. So it could be that you're giving them a schedule of what because your girls, they do listen, they're good girls, so giving them a schedule of the things to do after school, and it might be that they have, because I think it's more that just creativity piece. It's easy. They can't think of what to do. So it's easier for them just to go on YouTube, and they could do that for a certain amount of time, but maybe if you guys had a list in your house of some other activities and they could check off a different thing to do, like take a walk, or it could be, play a board game with the girls could play a board game together. Sometimes would be more social interaction than it would be, to stay on YouTube. Those things are easy. So that's why we all do. I do it too, so don't feel too guilty. But I think sometimes kids just need some ideas, especially if they're not real they're not real creative.
I was just going to say the same thing, as you could have like a choice board where they have to pick at least like 1 or 2 non-screen time activities before they can go and do that extra screen time. Because I know as an adult, being on the screen all day is just, it's hard, and I get a headache and then I get crabby. So if I just go take a walk, or I take a break and do something away from the screen, that helps. But I think, like Ms. Mariko was saying, with kids, it's harder for them to generate those ideas. So if you can maybe generate like a whiteboard with 7 or 8 different things, and they can just pick 1 or 2 every day, and they have to do that first before that extra screen time.
And to make it more personal for them, they could come up with a list. So kids like to, because a lot of times if we give them the list, so it's kind of works both ways. Sometimes you give them the list and everything on the list. No, I don't want to do that. I don't like that, because that's your idea. So maybe you could sit down as a family and you come up with a list together that they created, but it wasn't in the moment. So it's, so then they're more likely to do it because it was their idea.
I'm going to have to get into Miss Barry's karaoke session.
Yeah, and then to the lunch bunch idea, that Jen and Rion are starting that. There's just not enough of them to go around, but I love the idea of students hosting their own. You guys can kind of help facilitate that, but you can get, a group of kids to kind of hang out at lunch, on the screen. I think we would like them to take a break from the screen, but it also gives them a time just to socialize without structure, which is what we are finding a lot of the kids are missing, just like how to hang out with their friends.
Yeah. And I asked the kids, because I did wonder, are you guys kind of tired of looking at the computer? And they all said, they really just want to talk to their friends. They're kind of tired of looking at the computer doing the academic part, but they're very happy to share their thoughts and socialize and talk.
How exactly can we get the kids, like what platform would they use to meet in small groups over Zoom or whatever? Is that going to be something that, does the teacher leave the classrooms up maybe during lunch so the kids can do that? Or do we need to sign them up for their own Zoom account and coordinate that ourselves? Is there something that the school can do to facilitate these kids getting together on Zoom or wherever?
That's a great question. I'll actually, I have a region meeting tomorrow. I'll actually bring that up. But I really, if you talk to some of, your teachers and say, hey, I have a group of kids that would like to do that. We probably could just leave.
We just
that.
had
The
that
issue
little
is security. I mean,
Yeah,
the issue is
security.
security. Like, we can't just leave kids alone by a teacher facilitated, you know what I mean? Like, so that's where it kind of falls on, like, if as a parent, you set up a Google Hangout with a group of kids, you're welcome to do that. Where if a teacher does that, they kind of
stay there.
They're responsible, you know what I mean? So it makes it a little bit more.
And so that's how it is when I'm doing the lunch bunch. I'm in there with them, so I try to let them do all the talking, but I hear what's going on, so I can facilitate it, and I can make sure they get off on a topic that's not appropriate. I can kind of, make sure I stop that. And I'm aware of it, because whatever's going on, it's almost like that's the classroom. I mean, that Blackboard. So whatever's going on in there, we're responsible for what's said. And first of all, we need to know, like, if anything's said, I want to know what's going on in there, so it is easier if you set it up as a parent on a different site. And honestly, they're very appropriate. I mean, everything I've been in, I think the kids are doing a fantastic job, and they're sweet. They really have connected way more than I could possibly imagine. Like when I do these lessons, and the one I did the other day, they had to tell something about the person that was below them, like something kind to help build their confidence. And they had such great specific things to say about the kids. So it wasn't like, they almost feel a little more comfortable. So it wasn't like they were just saying, oh, he's nice, she's fun, she's great. They were actually really kind of delving in and saying specific things about each child. So which leads me to believe they are getting some of that social piece that we think they're missing. They're still connecting with their classmates. So it's kind of, it feels good. I mean, it's good to see that.
Jen, there was a question. How many kids do you usually have in your lunch bunch?
Well, I can have as many so what I've done is I've done it two ways. So I just started doing this today. So my lunch bunches are and Rion's doing it too, so she can tell you what day she's doing it, but I'm doing second grade on Tuesday. And so they go to Google Meets, and there's a code that they and I'll type it over here. So whatever grade they're in, the code is NSES lunch. So like second grade today, the code for them to enter the Google Meet was NSES lunch 2. So the code for the third grade to enter lunch on Wednesdays is NSES lunch 3. And then I do fourth grade. So Rion has taken over first and fifth. So she's doing the lunch bunches with those kids. Is she still here? I don't see her.
I'm here.
Oh, there she is. Okay.
Yeah, so mine pretty much works the same way. On Tuesday, it is first grade, and Wednesday is fifth grade. And I give them the code, which I'm putting in the chat right now, Brogan and whatever grade. So Brogan 1, LCH, BCH, like lunch bunch. And they put that in and they just come right on. So I think today we had, 34. I think it was 34.
Yeah. So,
you had 34 kids come to lunch bunch? That's
yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It was really sweet because once all the pictures popped up, there was a student that said, "Hey, so-and-so, you remember me? Do you remember me?" Yeah. And I saw one of the teachers like, "Oh my goodness." So we know that even in that small moment today, we know that there was a connection. We know that was, it made some child's day. So it was just, you never know what, you'll hear, but I just thought that that was really heartwarming when they were able to maybe see a student from another first grade class pop up in the Google Meet, and then their eyes just widen and to call out, hey, so-and-so, it's me, do you remember me? So I thought that was really sweet.
Sweet kids we have. Any other questions for us? And if you think of anything, like I said, at any time, you guys can shoot me an email. Any of us, we're more than happy. That's why we're here. We're here to support you guys. We're here to support your kids. So we're more than happy to, to kind of brainstorm with you or talk to your kids or, whatever we can do to help.
And as a school, as Jen mentioned, we are meeting with team leaders, and we're brainstorming, ideas for this social emotional piece that we're talking about right now, of like how we can help facilitate with this within the classroom. So please reach out if you have ideas or suggestions for us, because this is really a work in progress. And to hear that the lunch bunch is already being successful, we just started it, is great. So we do want the kids to be able to see, like, just walking down the hallway saying hi to your friend. Some of these kids haven't seen each other since March. So, any ideas you have, please just let us know.
I just want to say just a real quick note of thanks, and I know I'm not alone. That I've seen every single day. I just sit right next to my daughter, and every single day I'm hearing conversations. Miss Mahoney knows about all of a lot of emotional support, and I'm so grateful when I overhear those conversations, because I think they make a big difference. And I am so grateful to all of you, the staff and administration, for making it such a high priority. And I know it's a priority for Fairfax, but it really is the school implementing this that I'm so appreciative of. So thank you.
Thank you.
And it's noticed not just by me too.
Thank you.
Yeah, just to piggyback on all that, I can really tell that my daughter's teacher is invested in her emotional health during this time, and all the kids in her class as well. And I can hear that you guys obviously care too. So on behalf of all of the parents, we really appreciate it. You guys are taking a lot of, doing a lot for us, and I feel. So does anyone
have good kids and good parents? We're very appreciative too. We feel lucky to be there in that community for sure. We really do.
Does anybody else have any questions, or does anyone have anything they want to end on? Any last words? No, okay, well then, thank you guys so much. Thank you for the presentation. If you can get me a copy of that so I can put the resources out for the parents to people who aren't here. You did mention that you were hoping to bring more people to our meetings. You have 20 is a lot of people for our meetings. We usually this is not a highly attended, shall we say. So this is a good amount. We really appreciate meeting everyone and you're taking the time to come and talk to us. And as always, thank you, Chad and Leslie, for organizing.
Well, it's the last few meetings and as we've really got going this year I think have been great. I think they've been well attended. And, I know we've talked about, even as we come back and once we even get to a place of somewhat normalcy, continuing to try to do, and by then we'll be really good at this concurrent teaching or concurrent meetings. So, both having a live meeting for those folks that can attend, but also, streaming it so that folks that can't get away to come for a 7:00 meeting in the building can still at least hear, participate in what we're doing, because it's so important. And, our sense of community, I think, is as hard as it's been in some ways to maintain. I think as a community, as a whole community, school, parents, home, students, staff members, I think everybody's, you always fall back to what's comforting and feels good in times of crisis. And I think everybody falls back to us as a community, whether, it's PTA, it feels good to be around people that are all moving kind of in the same direction with, kind of a common vision for really what's good for kids and, and us as a school and as parents and families. And I think we've been able to keep the important things a high focus. And I think that's really helped center. I know Leslie and I have had so many conversations and listening to how other schools have approached this, and even the county has approached this. And there have been many times where we have just looked at each other almost in the same, as soon as somebody else said something, said, no, that's not going to work for North Springfield. We're not doing that. Because we know, first of all, it gets us away from what we feel is really important. And we really have fought. We fought to not have a lot of those distracting forces kind of dictate to us where we needed to go. We felt like we needed to make sure we stayed in control and dictated what was good for North Springfield and our kids. And I think we've reminded ourselves of that as long as we keep that our focus, we're going to be fine this year. We may not academically have all the kids where we need them to be by the end of the year, but I don't think anybody's expecting that. But we will have our kids and our community and our culture intact. So when we do return, we'll be ready to kind of attack all those issues as they come up. And I think that's really been what we've been really focused on. And it started with keeping our kids with their teachers in our classes and contact. I still have not found any other elementary schools that have been able to do that. So we're wearing that as our badge of honor. We were able to make it happen. I really, we've had a lot of conversations about making sure our families felt supported and had resources, and our kids our teachers are, finding innovative ways to get our kids talking to each other. And I think Ms. Fields, you were mentioned it, and we had the same conversation. We have kids that for the first time might be in a different class from somebody, but they haven't seen that person in 9 months because, they're now in a different class, and some of their great friends, they haven't been able to have real conversations with. And so we've been starting to bring up ways, and the lunch bunch was the easy one to start with. But how do we get our kids from all the classes within a grade level to be able to, how do we find avenues so that they can talk to each other? Because we have great friends that aren't in the same class and they haven't seen each other in, 6-8 months. And so we're trying to break down those barriers to keep those friendships, in place, and let the kids know that, those are important. Don't forget about those. So, but we also are starting parent coffees up in January. So there'll be more information. And I know, Vanessa and Ken and I and Leslie have talked about trying to do more with our parent liaisons and bring more families into some of these conversations, and continue to try to find ways to welcome new families and make the conversation equitable for our whole community. So we're going to keep working on those, and so there'll be more information coming out as we get those planned for January also. So we're really hoping that that we can broaden who we invite to it, and then also enrich the conversation by having interpreters and really kind of advertising it for all of our families to get involved in. So we're kind of excited that, we are finding a silver lining with the technology, even with as much as it's frustrating all of us. So.
Okay, we'll try to make that a priority going forward. There wasn't really enough time for this.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. And you know, why we have this little forum too, I'd like to thank Amy. I know she probably doesn't want any thank you, but Amy Mahoney has stepped in as Ms. Lochmuller has, you know, um, really, she's been doing a fantastic job with her boys and keeping her family going in the right direction. I know she sends her love and has really, she always tells us how thankful she is for the support from her families, the staff, the community, her students. And I know she's excited to get back to, you know, working with the kids after the holiday season. And, you know, but I really want to publicly say thank you to Amy, because she filled a huge hole that came out of nowhere. And, you know, it wasn't easy, and it was amazing. It done an amazing job. Many times, just because of sickness and whatever, she was covering classes on her own, like boom, finding out that morning. So she's done a fantastic job, and so thank you, Amy. I really appreciate that.
Thanks, Chad. I've had a lot of fun and getting to see the kids again. A lot of them have been in class with my daughter, because she's also in the same grade. I'm not in her classroom, but it's been great to see the kids. It's been great to see how much they are learning, and I've seen that from a parent perspective. But now also being in the classroom, and like, they are learning. Like, we are able to do more with them than I thought we would be able to do. It certainly is not like, and I'm a substitute teacher, so I'm not in a ton, but you know, getting on the floor and meeting with kids on the carpet to work through a math manipulative. We can't do that now, but we're able to do something kind of similar. And so I've been really impressed with what the teachers have been able to do given the limitations.
And Amy's really helped us with Girl Scout stuff too, so she's just great.
I'm all about keeping the kids connected, and that's one of the things that's been great for Girl Scouts, is that we've been meeting every week since March, and just to keep that connection. And that's what I mentioned in the chat, like if there's a way to get the kids across the classes in the same grade together would be amazing. You know, because like we heard earlier, that a lunch bunch kids are like, I haven't seen you, do you remember me? And if they're not in the same class, because of the way that Blackboard works, they're not able to go across the classrooms.
So thank you, Amy. Does anybody have anything else in closing? Leslie, you didn't say much today.
Nope, I'm good.
As you're shopping on Amazon, make sure that we're on your Amazon Smile list.
Oh yeah,
So actually, I was gonna say, if Chad, if you can put that into your email this week as well. Because it's now that you can use the app, it's a lot easier too.
Can you send him a blurb on how to like do that? I'm not certain on how.
Jen posted it on Facebook today, I think, or yesterday.
Okay, so we'll get that to you, Chad, so we can put it in the news you choose, or whatever happens on Thursdays. All right, was there anything else? I really appreciate everyone's time tonight. If not, then I'm going to officially adjourn this meeting with my imaginary gavel at 8:22 for record-keeping purposes. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
Have a great break.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Have a good
Thanks,
holiday.
guys. Have a
Thank
good
you
one.
so much. Have a good night.
Happy holidays.
As well.